All right, so let me start again. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and colleagues from ATU. You are warmly welcome to this research webinar. This research webinar is being organized by the Directorate of Research, Innovation, Publication, and Technology Transfer in ATU. And we have some topics to cover. There are three main topics: quality publication outlets, a guide to ARIF 2021 concept notes, and then we also have the full proposal too as well. We'll discuss all of that. I am going to be presenting this with Professor Amavi Akakpovi, who is our Pro-Vice Chancellor. And I'll start with the quality publication outlets and then the concept notes, and then he will continue with the full proposal to give you an idea about what to do when you are submitting and what we also expect from you in that regard. But before I continue, I would like us to pray so that we commit this webinar into the Lord's hands before we continue. So, Dr. Plocky, can you kindly pray for us so that we continue? Okay, since she's not around, let me.
Hello.
Okay, madam, can you pray for us so that we continue?
Okay, please let's pray.
Okay.
Our dear Father, we thank you for this morning. We thank you for this webinar. We ask that, Father, you yourself will come and take control. We commit the speakers and then the moderator into your hands and all the participants. Give us the wisdom to understand whatever we are going to be taught this morning. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. All right. So the presentation outline consists of three topics, as I've already mentioned. So we have the quality publication outlets. There's a few topics that we have to discuss there. The first one is why we worry about quality when it comes to publications. There's an issue about impact factor as well. We have an aspect of quality of publications called the CiteScores, and then academic and learned societies. Editorial boards, they are important when it comes to quality of publications. Rejection rates are also important. And then the frequency of inclusion in indexes are also important. We have predatory publishers as well. And Web of Science, the master journal list, very, very important when it comes to journal quality. The Scopus journal master list, also the same thing. It is also very important. Then we have another aspect of quality of publications when it comes to the SCI Mago journal search as well. So some two main questions which are also important within this context is how do you verify quality before you publish? Or how do you verify quality before publishing? And then how do you also verify quality after publishing? So after all this, then we'll go through the guide for ARIF, the concept notes, and then we'll also go through the full proposal as well. Okay, so we'll start with why worry about quality when it comes to journal. You see, the visibility that we discussed recently at the research seminar and then the impact, it begins by an author or a researcher actually knowing that there's a difference between a very good journal and then the journal which is not good. If you are able to identify this as a researcher, then you are on your way for your research to become very, very visible and then have a good impact. It is important for us to realize that once you publish a particular item or once you publish a paper, what happens in that regard is your paper goes to a certain publishing house, and then your name is on the paper, and then where you work to is on the paper. So once you get your paper in a very good quality journal, your H impact, which is the impact you have in terms of your citations and how people are reading your work, will generally become better. And then because your research is in a good journal, you have what we call cutting edge research, which makes it impactful. Now, these quality journals, they are quite better than or they are far better than journals which are second or let's say third tier publications. And as we go along, I'll be explaining the reasons why we have situations like that. Now, as a research or academic staff in ATU, if you submit a paper or manuscript to a journal, your name is on that particular manuscript, or let's say a paper, and then affiliation ATU is also on it. Now, once that is done, the reputation, that is your reputation and that of ATU is at stake in terms of the journal that you are sending that paper or the manuscript to, or if it's a conference proceeding where you are sending it to, in terms of standard of the quality and how reputable, and then whether you get appropriate impact to or not. It is very, very important for us to recognize all of these when we are doing the publications. Now, because your article is going to be published online, that is why you have to worry about it. Your name as an academic, your name as a researcher, and then where you work. We all work in ATU. So what is going to happen is ATU is going to come onto a certain publication as a university, and then your name as a lecturer, as a senior lecturer, as a professor is also going to come onto the paper. So you become exposed. That is why it's a publication. It goes to the public. Now, because we have so many online journals now, the moment it gets published, you cannot really just retract it. It's difficult because somebody has downloaded it, the person is already seeing what you have done. So when it gets into a good outlet, then, or a very top outlet, then quality is assured, reputation is assured, and then visibility and impact too is also assured. There won't be any problems in that case. Now, I know many of you have heard of impact factor. Many of you have heard of it. And the impact factor is also necessary or important when it comes to journals or in terms of journal quality. The impact factor normally looks at the quality of the journal in terms of the number of people who are reading from that journal, the number of people who are citing from that journal, and then the number of people who are actually even just going there to get citations from that particular journal. So if there's a journal in which people are reading, but they are not cited, or people are reading, but they don't have interest in whatever is there, then the impact factor becomes low. Now, when you have a journal which is indexed well, indexing means that in a certain database that is recognized worldwide, that particular journal is recognized in a certain way to be a top journal, then there's no problem in that regard. The impact factor is important because if people are not patronizing that journal and reading and then citing from that journal is of a low quality. A good journal means that people access the journal. They have access to papers in that particular journal. They download papers from there. They also cite, meaning they read papers from there, which is interesting to them in terms of their research. And that makes the impact factor go high. Now, there are certain publishing houses that when you mention, I'm going to mention some of them. By all means, you get people going there. By all means, you get people reading from there. By all means, you get people having access to their journals and then reading from there. That makes the impact factor go high. So when we are looking for journal quality, it's something that is important to consider. See the number of current citations to the articles published in the previous 2 years. Normally, they calculate it in the previous 2 years. And that brings about this equation. So per every journal, we have an impact factor, which generates what we call the number of times cited. How many times have these articles in this particular journal been cited? And how many articles have been published in that particular journal? That is the division. And normally you get maybe impact factors of 5, impact factors of 4, and so on and so forth, and all that. If a journal doesn't have any impact factor at all, but probably it's indexed in maybe a good indexing database, that is okay. It is also quality assured. There's no problem about that. We have all of these cases. So let's note the impact factor well. And when you are looking out for a journal, apart from the impact factor, there's something we call CiteScores. And the CiteScores normally looks at addition of citations. So we have 2012, 2013, the example that we have on this slide, 2012, 2013, 2014. How many of the journals in the articles in this particular journal were cited? So you add 2012, you add 2013, you add 2014, you add them up, you get a division over a 3-year period. And if the CiteScore is quite high, then it means that that journal is also of a good quality. Citations are important for every journal. People contacting a journal or having access to a journal, downloading from that journal, and then reading from that journal is important. The quality of a journal is not assured if things are quiet. People don't have access to the journal. People don't ask about that journal. So CiteScores looks at 3 years. So we are in 2021. If a CiteScore is being calculated for a particular journal now, it will go back to 2018, 2019, and 2020, and then it will calculate it based on that particular journal. And when you go into Scopus, you see a lot of CiteScores for particular journals, and that one actually tells you that that journal is good. Now, one would ask, with the CiteScores and then the impact factor, does it mean that people don't download from maybe journals which are not of a certain reputation? The answer is, of course, people don't do it. Normally, if you want to see the impact of a journal, experienced researchers always go to particular publishers to download or access papers from them. That is what happens. So let's take note of the CiteScores. Now, we also have some academic and learned societies, very, very important academic and learned societies. I know as colleagues, many of you know these societies, and it's important we look at these societies well. Our university library in ATU has a lot of electronic resources related to these learned or academic societies. And I'm going to mention some of them. They have a lot of them there. So it means when you are looking for a particular journal, look for the organization that is publishing. See whether they have a certain reputation before you commit yourself to send a particular paper to them. It is always important to do that. So the Medical Association of Australia, American Psychological Association, we have the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, IEEE. We have Emerald, we have Taylor and Francis, we have Elsevier, there's Springer, we have Wiley as well. We have Association for Computing Machinery, ACM. We have Igi Global. If an article goes anywhere here, there's no issue about quality. Quality is assured. If an article of your article goes here, so if you consult any of these, for example, as for the impact factor and the CiteScores, which I've already mentioned, those ones, they are assured with these sort of journals. And I'm going to explain the reasons why it's like that. So IEEE, Advancing Technology for Humanity, we have Emerald Publishing as well. We also have Taylor and Francis. I know if not many of you, if not all of you, have heard about all of this. We have Wiley as well. We have Plus One as well. We also have Elsevier also has one. We have Springer also. And then we also have, for those in computer science, such as me, and those also in electrical, ACM, and all of that. Of course, when you look at Emerald, for example, they publish both within business and then in technology, in science, and all that. But when you come to ACM, for example, it's more of computing, computer science related, IT related, and sometimes electrical related. When you go to IEEE too, you get computer science there, you get computer engineering, biomedical engineering too is there. And we have other aspects too there. Obviously, there are some that cater for all. Wiley can cater for almost every field. Taylor and Francis can cater for all of the fields. Elsevier and Springer too, they can cater for almost all of the fields. Plus One is more of science as well with different aspects. And Igi Global too can cater for everywhere. But the issue here is because we have these learner societies, the aim or our aim as academics should be to look at these societies when you are submitting a paper. And my research has shown that some of us already have papers here, which is a very good sign. It means that once we have papers here, and if more of us engage here, then the impact, visibility, citations, and impact factor CiteScores that we are mentioning here, or is being mentioned here, everything will become better in that regard. And that will save the reputation of us as academics, and then us as ATU members too, as well, as the ATU as an affiliation too as well. So that is one thing. The learners, the societies, and then academic societies too, they are very important. And then the editorial boards. Every journal has an editorial board. Editorial board should have people of a certain repute, possibly checking them to see whether they fit to be editorial board members. They may be listed on the website, but they are just listed. Probably they don't really have the pedigree that is required, and so on and so forth. So if a member is, you have an editorial board there, you have to check it and see. Once you see it, you realize that these members are of a high repute. They have visibility, they have impact, they have an OSCED ID or OSCED, they have Scopus, they have all of that. They are of a certain level, and then they are editors of a journal. Once that is established, it's okay. It means that that journal is good in that editorial board way. But you could have a good editorial board, but the journal itself is not impactful enough. That is something we have to be cautious about. The fact that the editorial board is good, other factors to have to come into play. So the editorial board is good, but what about the indexing of that journal? What about the impact factor of that journal? What about the CiteScores that we've mentioned earlier? What about that? So all of those things have to come into play. It's important we look at that. And then we have rejection rates. Normally, a journal which rejects more is a good one. It is sometimes difficult to understand. But journals which have a high rejection rate, that is, they don't accept manuscripts or papers easily, or you go through a vigorous review for 6 months, 8 months, getting to a year before they accept the paper. That is a sign of a good journal. So we have a journal called Nature. Nature is very top, and then they reject about 95% of the articles. Now, the articles that will be rejected in Nature may be accepted somewhere, but because of the level of Nature and then how they are in terms of their ranking, in terms of their reputation, in terms of the quality that they have established themselves to be, the paper can be rejected there, but another journal which doesn't reach the standard of Nature may accept it. One thing that I would like to also share with you is sometimes we have a very good paper, a very, very good paper, which can go into some of these outlets, but we may not know. And we submit the paper to a journal which will easily accept it. And although the paper is good, it goes into the wrong outlet. And you won't get the right recognition because of where the paper has landed itself. So it is always good to try a very top journal first. Look at these outlets, check them one by one, send the paper to them, even get reviews from them. Sometimes the reviews that you get, they may even reject the paper, but the review that you get can allow you to make the paper or correct the paper to a certain level, which will be better, and then you can submit it. If not, maybe in a very top journal like Nature, another one which is a bit lower than that one, and then it will work. You see, so the rejection rates is something that we should look at. You send a paper today. Today is, let's say, Wednesday. By Friday, they give you a response. That is not a good sign, and we all know that. By Friday, so you send it within maybe a week, they give you a response. Then they charge you further to come and pay publication dues or something, and so on and so forth. That is not a good sign. So you shouldn't send a paper and expect that within 1 week, the review is done. And then some don't even give any proper review report. And then you pay maybe a publication fee and so on and so forth. All of those are not a good sign and so on and so forth. Some of these journals, they just destroy reputation. Now, what happens is maybe when you start as a new researcher, it's happened to all of us. We are young in the system, but it's happened to all of us. Sometimes when you start, there are some of these things we don't know. So there's the urgency to get a paper published. There's an urgency to, get publications. And then based on the fact that we may not know, as I stated earlier, you may send a paper somewhere which is not a good outlet for publication in terms of quality, and that will give a bad thing. So we have all of these sort of situations. A situation whereby it goes 1 week, you get a response, and then you are paying in addition. It's not good. And now the journals which don't even accept any money, they are the best. Journals we don't even accept that you pay anything, but you go through a rigorous or a very vigorous review, a very strong one in the sense that the paper can be assigned to maybe 5 or 4 reviewers. It goes for 2 months, 3 months. It comes back with a lot of comments. You have to work on those comments. It goes back again. It's still not solid to come back. Then you do it, you respond to their review, and then finally, before it will be accepted, they don't even charge at all. There's nothing like you are going to pay any publication fee. But because you don't pay, and because it is a good journal in terms of quality, you are not charged at all. That is a sign of what? Journal quality, where you don't pay. Another sign is where the indexing, that the impact factor and those things that we've seen is also of a certain standard. So that is how the rejection rates are. Now we have the inclusion of indexes, and I'm going to discuss the subsequent slides. We'll look at some of these indexes. You can open the website, and then you can see that the journal has listed that they are in Web of Science. It has listed on the website that they are in Scopus. It has listed that they are in certain databases. As a researcher, you have to check. Whatever is listed, it may never be true. So it is important to verify. The fact that it's on the website is not enough. You have to check and then verify whether, if this journal says it's in Web of Science, go to the Web of Science, in Collaborate, that website, the master list, and check. You can put the journal's name there. And Web of Science, if it's there, it will pop up. Once it pops up, it means that truly they are there. So what I'm trying to say is the fact that this index has been included in the journal doesn't mean that they are actually there. The checks have to be done before those things. And then now we all know about the bills list and then some of these predatory publishers. I don't want the presentation to be so long, but any of you, if you go into Google and you Google bills list, you see a list of so many publications. There are so many journals. There are journals that we should avoid. Now, these journals, what is even worse about them is sometimes you don't get a review report at all. And it looks like the website is not appealing enough. The way they are supposed to go through a particular process is not clear, and so on and so forth. It's really not of a standard academic procedure when it comes to publishing in some of these journals, and they are just there to make money, basically. So they should be avoided at all costs. And it's not good to publish in these journals just because of our future. It's not good for our future. So that is something that we should look at. I see your questions. Please, after I present, I'll look at your questions, try my best to answer before we continue. So I see them in your chat. I'll try my best to address them. All right. So let's proceed with how do you verify before publishing? It is important to check the journal's website. I've already mentioned it. So I have some 3 examples here that I'm going to try my best to demonstrate. We have International Journal of Innovative Research in Medical Science, just an example. Then we have European Journal of Business and Management. The journals are many. I just tried these examples. And then we have International Journal of Scientific and Technology Research. So 3 journals. So let's just say that any of us wants to publish in these 3 journals. It means we have to go to the website of these journals to check them. Check them and verify whether it is of a standard that will allow you as a researcher to have your reputation that you need for your future. Somebody will not see your article somewhere, and then they see your article somewhere, and then they say that it's not in a good outlet. Probably that article that you have could have gone into another good quality journal, which wouldn't have given any problem. So that is the verification. I'm going to do my best to do that. So I'll go, before I go onto the website, I'm going to show you, this is the Web of Science Journal Master List search. And when you type Web of Science in Google, you have access to it. It is at this area that you type, or you type the name of the journal to see whether it's in Web of Science, to see whether probably it's in Scopus, or to see whether you can find it anywhere. And the results will come out. Now, if you don't get the journal here, it means it's not listed. If it's not listed in Web of Science, then the quality is not good enough to some extent. If you want to achieve your ultimate as a researcher, then you don't have to do it. You can also look at subject areas in Scopus as well, where you enter a subject area. And then once you enter this particular subject area, then it will give you access as well. So we have all of these checks. So you want to publish in a particular journal, verify whether it's in Scopus or not. You enter a subject area in Scopus: market, accountancy, procurement and supply chain, computer science, all of our departments. Once you just enter it here, or you go into the drop down, you have access to it. And once it is here, that means that the journal is already recognized by Scopus, it's indexed by Scopus, and then there's no problem there whatsoever. And then we have the SCI Mago as well. These are all checks, ways that you can check to verify that I want to publish in this particular journal. If I key that journal in these 3 databases in terms of indexing, are they there or not? Now, to be quality assured, it means that they should be in either one of these, especially the Web of Science. If they are there, then it means that there's no particular problem. Then it means that you can go ahead and do it. Now, the verification before publishing means that you should look for particular journals. So +1, IEEE, I've mentioned all of these already. Hindawi Journals, they don't have any problem. And you see, once you go into a Hindawi environment, it will show you every journal's impact factor, every journal's indexing, all issues concerning that particular journal that you need to see and verify. And some of them have reputation so much that there's no need for a check at all. The ones that we saw earlier, International Journal of Innovative and whatever in medicine, and then those 3 that we saw, they are not in any of these. So if I or you want to publish there, it means that I have to now go into that particular database and check to verify whether they are there or not. Taylor and Francis to have these examples. I'm showing these examples, but I'll go onto the website to actually show you how it works. Then we have the International Journal of Information Retrieval Research as well, also in Igi Global Journals. So we'll go through all of these examples. The examples that I showed earlier plus this, we'll go through all of them. These are verifications that you have to do before you publish. Now, after publishing, which at that stage is late. It's late to verify whether, the only thing you can do to verify whether the paper is in a good journal or not. Before publishing, you can check the journal. But after publishing, if somebody wants to see whether your article is in a good journal or not, it's already published. What the person is going to do is to look at the citation or reference of that article and then check the journal. So we have 3 authors here in 2018, the nexus between internal marketing in hospitals and organizational commitment, incorporating the mediation rules of key job characteristics. This is an article which is online. It's available to everyone. Now, this article was published in International Journal of Healthcare Management. The question here is, International Journal of Healthcare Management, is it a journal of good quality or not for these authors to have the reputation that they need, and then for where they work to be recognized as the fact that they are publishing in a good journal or not? These are the questions. You see, so we have, these are just 2 examples. I just brought in these 2 examples. So we have another one, which was published in 2020. We have the authors there. So characterization of moringa, I can't mention some of the words, but it's a bit difficult for me. So extracted by coupling ionic liquid separation system with ultrasound irradiation. And this is in the Journal of Food Processing. So to check this, it means we have to find out where the Journal of Food Processing is coming from, where the Journal of International Journal of Healthcare Management is also coming from. And if maybe there's an external assessor who wants to verify your promotion documents and see where you have published to see whether your journal is of a high repute, that is what the person is going to do. So there's a case of your articles being checked for your promotion. There's a case of your article also being in a good outlet that is going to allow you to have the visibility and impact that you need as a researcher and for your institution. All of these 2 journals, they are in the name of ATU. So if they are in the name of ATU and they are in a particular outlet, quality is assured. If many of us as researchers do that, then it means that we get to a level where the impact and visibility and quality of the journals that we are using gets to a certain level. That is how it works. And then we have some other 2 here, which I also gave as examples, where we have International Journal of Computer Application. So this journal, is it good or not? 2020, maybe the topic may even be a current topic. This topic may have been able to go into another journal, as we've seen in terms of quality. but it hasn't reached there yet. And because maybe the authors did not know, they have put such a good paper in a journal which will by all means accept it. As for the journals which are not good, and so on and so forth, they accept it, and then that will go to the disadvantage of the researcher or authors if they are not careful. So we have International Journal of Computer Engineering and Technology. These are also two examples. And we are going to check all of this. Now, let me go onto the website, and then we'll go through these checks for us to understand it properly, how it works. Okay, so we have the first one, International Journal. I hope you can see my screen because I'm sharing it. We have International Journal of Innovative Research.
And we can see your screen.
Okay, thank you, Prof. So International Journal of Innovative Research in Medical Science. This is a journal which is online. Now, the first thing to do ordinarily would be to go to this site. So you see, we have the instructions for authors, we have publishing charges, we have mode of payment, and so on and so forth. Now, let me click on the indexing and archiving. And you'll see that they have listed so many things from Google Scholar, and all of these things are listed. And there's something down here, which is saying the application for indexing in emerging sources citation index, Science Citation Index expanded of Web of Science, Collaborate Analytics, PubMed Central, and so on and so forth, has been performed. It means they don't have it yet. These issues are key. It means they don't have it yet. So their indexing does not involve this. Now, the indexing that they have mentioned there, that is quality assured. They are not in Web of Science, Science Citation Index, and all of that. They are not there. But they say they have applied for it. We'll never know whether it's actually true or not. Now, if I copy this, and then I go into the Web of Science here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste it at this site and then check to see whether they are here. All of us have to do this all the time. You have to check and see whether where you are sending a particular publication, it can be found in Web of Science, it can be found in Scopus. Now there's a question mark here. Did you mean this journal? So Web of Science has similar journal names to this, but it's not getting it. So it's asking whether it's International Journal of Medical Research and Health Sciences. And that one is indexed by them. It's asking whether Journal of International Medical Research. It's asking all of this. But the one that I am looking for is not there. So it means that in terms of indexing in Web of Science, which they say they have applied for, it is not there currently. That is how you do these checks. Once you do that and you see that it's not here, it means when you are trying to publish that particular paper, you are not assured of the indexing that is going to guarantee you quality in terms of that particular journal. That is the first one. Now we have another one also here, which is more business related. And that one is the European Journal of Business and Management. They have their indexing straight over here. And we realize that all of these indexes, they are normal web indexes, which are quite low. The Crossref Index, Computius and EBSCO, all of these ones, they are just like once we publish, they automatically go there. Web of Science and Scopus, the journal has to be of a certain reputation before they will absorb that particular journal and the articles that go with it. That is how it works. So if I copy this one also, the same copy situation, and then I come into the Web of Science, same thing, I paste it here. I don't see it. Let's see whether it will come. All right, so it's not seeing that one, but there's another one called European Journal of Management and Business Economics, European Journal of Management and Business Economics. So you see that what Web of Science has indexed is not this. It's not in there. Now, in terms of this one also, the Journal of Innovative Research and Medical, let's look at whether we'll get it in SCI Mago. But normally, if you don't get it in Web of Science, I don't think you are going to get it anywhere else that is going to work out. You see, so sorry, no results were found. It means that it's not in SCI Mago. And then when we try the European one also in SCI Mago, let's see whether we are going to get that as well. So we'll try that one also and see whether it's there So there's one there, European Journal of Management and Business Economics, but it's not the same as this. So what the SCI Mago has is something related, but that one you see is even in Emerald, and it's quite different. These are the checks that we have to do as academics and researchers. I know many of you know these checks, but you have to do it often so that once you check and you see that it's not in any of these databases, then you know that the quality is not of a certain level, so you don't tempt it. You see, the issue may be your paper may be very, very good, of a certain quality, which deserves some of these indexes. So we have to check and make sure that at least we are doing the right thing. Now we have International Journal of Scientific and Technology Research too, as well. So I'm going to try that in Web of Science, and then we'll see whether that one too is there. So research. So we'll try it, and then so it's not getting that one. The moment there's this question mark here, it means that it's not there, and it's likely not to be in the SCI Mago 2 as well. So let's see what I see here. All right, so
check the spelling.
I did it all, but I think it's got it all.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, let me spell research work. Okay, so it's an SCI Mago. So at least to some extent, this one is quite okay. Web of Science is a bit higher, but it's an SCI Mago. So indeed, if this one is there, then you have to make sure that it's the India one, and then it can be used for that particular activity. There's no problem there in that case. So these checks are also very important in that regard. So let's take note of all this. It's very, very important. Now we are going to look at the others. So we saw +1, and when you look at +1, this is the website of +1, the indexing. You go down, down, down. +1 has many. There's plus biology, plus medicine. There's +1 itself. We have computational biology. This +1 is more, let's say in this university, SLT and medical laboratory related. And sometimes some others come in, especially this +1 without any form of specific particular field. But when you go down, you see that there's Web of Science in +1. It's already indexed there, and then there's Scopus also. There's no need for me to even make this check because it's something which is there already. It's already archived. When you come to IEEE, for example, these are all different examples. You see that ATU has provided us access through our library. So we have IEEE. Then this is one journal in IEEE. It's called IEEE Transactions on Affective Computing. The general impact factor is 7.5. Igi factor, which is related to CiteScores, is also there. And then we also have the 1.332. I already mentioned that IEEE is already a learned or academic society. Any journal here with an impact factor like this, if you're able to get your papers there, it means that you are already assuring quality in terms of your publications as well, and the journal that you are using. We have Emerald as well, where in Emerald, you are going to see different areas. So a lot of our business colleagues, they use Emerald often for so many activities. So this is accounting, auditing, and accounting, auditing, and accountability journal. So the most important thing here is to come down to the indexing, and they already have their Scopus CiteScores here, and so on and so forth. Once this Clarivate Analytics is here, it means it's already in Web of Science. These checks and the fact that it's coming from Emerald alone is enough. That is it. So that is one issue about it. And then we also have another Emerald 2 again. So it goes on and on and on like that. There's American Journal of Business or something. So looking at it critically, American Journal of Business in Emerald Publishing, and then you have the indexing here. If you look critically, we see that we have emerging sources citation index, and then we have it in Clarivate Analytics, you see. So once it's Emerald, there's no need I go to Web of Science and then Scopus to check. It's already archived there. Once it's Emerald, that is the case. Then you have Hindawi also. These are all examples that I'm trying to show you. And in Hindawi, we have advances in civil engineering. So advances in civil engineering, we have the acceptance rate, 41%, 98 days submission for final decision. We have it assess publication after 40 days, meaning it will go through a whole lot of review process. And then the impact factor 2 is there, you see. So looking at an example of maybe the databases, you see that Scopus is here. You see that Science Citation Index Expanded is here, in addition to other ones which are also equally important. You see, so once it's in that way, the reputation is already there in terms of the publishing house. Then you go into advances in civil engineering. If our brothers in civil engineering want to publish in this, then they have to go into this and check all of these out. And once that is done, it goes through. So we have the Scientific World Journal, which will have its indexing and all that. We also have the absorption, science and technology also, impact factor 2.42, and so on and so forth. The databases and indexing to checking on that one. Scopus is also there for that. We have Ieee, which is also an engineering index of a certain level. We also have the Clarivate Analytics, which cites it in Science Citation Index 2 as well as SCI. It's okay, it's good enough for any quality to be assured as well. We have mathematical problems in engineering with an impact factor as well. When you go into the database and then indexing all of the issues concerning their database, a lot of them, but you look out for Scopus is there, you look out for Science Citation Index related to Web of Science too, that one too is there. It means that quality is also assured in terms of that journal. We have computational and mathematical models in medicine. All of these are in Hindawi. When you go onto the Hindawi site, every one of us can get something to work on there in terms of the journal. What you have to do is to go to the journal and see your area where you want to publish, and then you go through it. So we check the indexing and the databases for this one as well, computational and mathematical models. Then it has a lot. Scopus is there, Science Citation Index Expanded 2 is there, and so on and so forth. Emerging Sources Citation Index, Science Citation Index. We have Web of Science, Scopus. These are good citations for, or good indexes for journals. Now, what we saw earlier, the International Journal of Healthcare Management is part of Taylor and Francis. Taylor and Francis has been mentioned already, and we know how good Taylor and Francis is. So looking at the journal information, Scopus is here, and then Emerging Sources Citation Index is here. It will be in Web of Science. I don't need to go and check, because once you have this Emerging Sources Citation Index and you have Scopus, and then the reputation of Taylor and Francis also will make it available. But let me just, I need to even try it out. Let me just do that one alone. So let's see whether truly this one is in Web of Science. International Journal of Healthcare Management. Yes, it's there. So exact match found. There's no question mark this time. And Routledge Journal, Taylor and Francis, and so on and so forth. This is quality. And it means before and after. If before the authors did this, they are short of quality. If they didn't do it, but after publishing, somebody wants to check, the person will check through this, get these results, and once the results are there like that, then it means that there's no problem with that case. We have Journal of Applied Statistics, also in Taylor and Francis. So Clarivate Analytics, Science Citation Index, Clarivate Analytics, Science Citation Index Expanded, all highlighted and bolded. Then you come down, we have Web of Science, we have Scopus. This is also in Pablos. It is very, very top in that regard. And you can have, you see, even if you have one paper here and somebody has 10 articles in journals which are not like this, your one paper here is of a value more than those 10. That is the truth when it comes to some of these sort of issues. So one paper here will get so many citations, a lot of recognition, a lot of visibility and impact, more than having 10 or 20 multiple papers somewhere, which are not close to this type of journal. That is how it is. So let's take note of all of this, colleagues. Then we also have the Igi Global. So Igi Global is also very good. One thing about Igi Global is when you look at Taylor and Francis, you look at IEEE, Emerald, and so on and so forth, they have been established and they are so top. To get a paper there is quite difficult. Igi Global to have been there for some time. So the issue is they have their indexing in Scopus and Web of Science, but they're a bit flexible. Let me put it that way when it comes to you getting a paper there. But their indexing is also good. Let's look at the indexing.
But they have changed. They are no more flexible.
Okay. They are a bit difficult, yes. But comparatively to the other ones, I think this one is a bit better. So we look at the indexing here, and Google Scholar will by all means index. All of these, they automatically, they will already come. But going down here, Web of Science is there. And then we have Web of Science, Emerging Sources, Citation Index. So let's highlight this just to see whether at least this one is in Web of Science, because they've stated it in the journal. If we do this and it's not there, it means this journal is fake. That is the truth about the whole thing. So we are going to check, or let's check to see whether it's there. And truly, truly is there. So do you mean this journal, International Journal of Information Retrieval Research, Igi Global, Emerging Sources Citation Index, and then it can be found in the USA. So it's indexed by Web of Science, and that is a good thing. It means that publications can be done here without any problem whatsoever. Okay. So we have International Journal of Healthcare Management. I think I've already discussed this. And then there's Wiley. There's one Wiley article here, yes, by some of our colleagues. I really appreciate them. They've done so well. They've done so well by getting this particular paper here. Okay, so Journal of Food Processing. Let me just type it here. Journal of Food Processing. Okay, so Journal of Food Processing. Yes, Journal of Food Processing is there. It's in Wiley, and it's Science Citation Index expanded. Quality is assured because of this. There's no problem with that. And once that check has been done, it's okay and good enough. There's no problem with that. But looking at this, International Journal of Computer Application, the website alone is not appealing enough as the ones that we've seen. When you look at what we saw in +1, IEEE, Hindawi, and all of these websites, how the website is even looking for this particular one, it already tells you that there's a problem here. If you see a website like this, then it's good you don't even venture. Look at how the indexing is being done here, and so on and so forth. This is already a sign that a paper should not go here, no matter what you want to do, because your name goes here, and then your institution name also goes here. It's not a good sign for quality when it comes to journal publication. So let's take note of that. And looking at this too, the whole website looks clumsy. It doesn't look so appealing, and so on and so forth. They are writing a whole lot of things, but when you look at the websites that we've seen and you compare it to this, automatically you see that there's not any need for me to even check it. These are signs that they are publishing a lot. You see, when you have so many, maybe one particular volume, about 20, 30 publications coming, and they just come, and then the next month there's another one, and so on and so forth. Then they are calling for issues almost all the time, and all of that is not a good sign. The publication should take time. The review should also take time. And once it takes time, it means that there's work being done on that particular manuscript to assure quality. It's all very, very important. So let's take note of all this. Okay.
The same person. Oh, no, yes, it should be called.
That is what they do.
Please call them that will not submit.
Okay, so that ends it for the publication aspect. I think I will look at some of your questions, and then I'll try.
Good presentation. Well done.
Thank you very much. So let me see whether I can answer some of your questions. Emmanuel Entry, when a journal reviews your paper, are they supposed to send back the review document? Emmanuel, they are supposed to send back a review report. They are supposed to send back a review report with details about the problem of that particular, or their comments, and then you are supposed to address those comments. Now, the comments that they sent, should be detailed enough. You should get comments where you see that they have actually read the paper to the amazement that you didn't even see some of the things that they are raising. You yourself, you didn't see. That is the whole thing. So normally they will not send back, or sometimes they can make comments in the document itself. But it depends. If they make the comments in the document itself, it exposes them in terms of the name of the reviewer, and that disclosure, many people don't want that. So normally they will send you a review report for you to address those comments. Then you ask, how do you address the challenges when the journal picks your paper, but it's not what published? I'm not really getting your question, but if it's about the challenges in terms of the questions that they have raised in the comments, you have to look at the comments one by one. There are cases whereby you can send the comment to the editor of the journal that you don't understand this particular comment that the reviewer raised. So the person should elaborate to you for you to understand things better. That is it. So can I publish more than 3 articles in a particular journal? Elizabeth Sanya. It's good to be diverse. You can publish 3 articles in a particular journal, not in a particular volume. Maybe in volume 1, you have your name appearing in that particular volume. It is not the best. It will seem as if you are not challenged to look at another journal and try your best to publish. So you have to look at diverse journals so that in this journal, your name can appear. In another journal too, your name can also appear. So 3 articles in different volumes of a journal that is of a good quality is not bad. But 3 articles even in a journal that is not good, and then your name is appearing in a particular volume, is not good enough. And
yeah, let me add a bit to that.
Okay.
I think the question is well answered, but we need to be careful because with the quality requirement that was explained to us, in fact, getting one of the journal in a good, one of the papers in a good journal, it threatens your life. In actual fact, it demands a lot of effort. So for those who actually undergo such difficulties, telling them that you are even at the same time, even provided they are not the same journal, then it raises a lot of questions. It's not say it's impossible, but it brings a lot of questions. Can you go through that torture 3 times simultaneously? So people will presume in the first place that probably is not doing the correct. So for our own good, sometimes it's good to go step by step, because those journals, when they are of high quality, they demand a lot. The reviewers don't play. So one at a time, I think is the best.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you so much. Then Elizabeth Sanya again, which journals can you suggest for articles in hospitality and catering? There are many of them. When you go into Emerald, you get some. When you go into, I think even IGI, all of the learner societies that I've mentioned, hospitality is a very good area which is popping up a lot. So you get areas in hospitality, catering, and then all you have to do is to do the checks that I did. And once you do it, and then it's okay, then there's no problem. Then my brother Gideon Adote, where do we find the Polytechnic Journal hosted on our website? I don't know whether it is still there. The Polytechnic Journal is currently on hold. We are working on trying to bring it back to life. So currently, we are trying to look at why it stopped, the reasons. And one main reason about the Polytechnic Journal, let me say the Technical University Journal, is sustainability. Because of certain things that I've mentioned now in terms of the indexing and those things, Scopus and all of that, when somebody wants to submit and then wants to assure quality, because the Polytechnic or Technical University Journal hasn't reached that particular level yet, the person is tempted not to submit there. But we can also start by getting papers there and applying to Scopus for it to be recognized. We can do that. But if we don't get papers there from the beginning, we cannot even get to the Scopus level or get to some of these levels. All of these journals that we are seeing, they have to apply and then they start at a slow pace before they can get to that particular level. Even on the website that I showed earlier, they said they had applied and then they were waiting for approval. So that is also another thing. Then Samson is also asking, Samson Aguja is asking, which impact factor is reasonable? Normally, it depends on a whole lot of statistics. But the truth is the higher the impact factor, and if that journal is of a good quality, the the appropriateness or how good that particular journal is. If there's IEEE, as I saw, that particular publishing house has got to a certain level. So if there's a journal there that has a low impact factor in there, it means that its sort of reputation is not as good as the other IEEE journals. Any other sort of journal which may be outside the IEEE may be a different ballgame altogether. But it depends on that particular journal, the publishing house, and then where we can find that journal also, and all of those sort of cases. So you can have a journal which is maybe of an impact factor of 1.1 in Hindawi, another journal of an impact factor of maybe 5 point something in IEEE. So long as it is in a particular good publishing house, it's okay.
Yeah.
There's no problem with that.
Let me add a bit here. I think we should worry less about the real value of the impact factor now, provided we land in a journal which falls in the good indexing, as explained to us. If you fall in the good indexing, it means that there is an impact factor. And the impact factor, as you say, is a very dynamic, statistics. You may have it to be 0. Even if you get it to in a journal of 0.001 and is in the good indexing, I still recommend that go for the journal if you can submit. Because before you know, in about 6 months or 1 year, that 0.001 may turn to 1 and 2 and 3 and 7, and it keeps changing. But the important thing is to be part of that indexing that allows that dynamic change in the future. So I recommend no value, provided you find ourselves in an indexation in some of these mentioned data. Thank you.
Yeah, to add to that, I think some time ago, in 2013 or 2014, I submitted a paper to IEEE. It's called IEEE Access. It's a journal. At that time, they were new. They were very, very new, but they were in the IEEE publishing house. So the quality was already assured. But because it was new in 2013, 2014, and a lot of people, and they didn't have articles to that extent. So a lot of people had not gone in there to do the citations and all of that. The impact factor was 0 at that time. But later on, now I think they are about 5.0 or something. And the issue about publishing in 2013 or 2014 doesn't mean that that impact factor doesn't affect me at this time. No. Once your article is there, in 5 or 4 years' time, if the impact grows and then the impact factor increases, that impact factor also what affects you, no matter what the case may be. Your paper is still, or your article is still in that particular journal. So let's take note of that. No, William, journal publishing is not the same as patenting. Patenting has to do more with recognition of inventions and innovations, and you should come out with a particular artifact. Of course, there's a write-up or there's an article which will be related to the patent. But the patent means that you register that particular item you've developed, and the innovation should be, I think in Ghana, is the Registrar General. You have to check and verify this particular innovation. So unlike a publication where the innovation may not be seen directly, as for a patent, it should be seen and then registered in your name. That is the difference between the two. So publishing an article is different from patenting. All right. So thank you so much for your nice questions. They are very, very good questions. We'll continue with the guide for the supposed to be concept notes, not content notes, sorry. So we'll continue with the guide for that, and then Prof will also come on board and continue with the full proposal. Now, we advertised this recently, and the intent of ARIF stands for ATU Research and Innovation Fund. We advertised this recently, and the fund is supposed to help us as researchers to have some capital, to have some money to be able to buy our items, equipment, and all of that for the research based on a budget that you, let us know about what you want to use that particular amount for. So we specify some areas in terms of society, in terms of industrial linkage, national development orientation, the impact on ATU's visibility, and then contribution to knowledge and innovation. It's quite wide. It's not a particular area. So I believe this particular scope allows anybody, only one of us, to write something about. And Once you submit, we are going to look at the concept notes first, but let's go through the eligibility. I know you've seen this already, but I'll just go through briefly. The poll is open to all academics, research fellows, and partners associated with ATU. And the poll is multidisciplinary. It's about applied research in terms of engineering, applied sciences, social sciences, humanities, and business as well. The principal investigator, that is the PI, should be the lead researcher. No, it should be associated with ATU as a full-time staff member. He's the person who is going to hold the budget, or the budget holder. He's the one who submits the concept notes, and is the one who is also going to look at the issue regarding the proposal itself. Obviously, the concept notes will be written with the other investigators. Now, there's going to be a submission of CVs when it gets to the full proposal stage. And the CV should explicitly show that the research interests match the proposal that is being submitted in terms of the concept, in terms of the full proposal too, as well. And it can be multidisciplinary. You can have somebody in computer science teaming up with somebody in civil, but obviously, if the person is coming from computer science, then there should be that aspect related to civil within the proposal. It's important so that the grant can go for the two of them in that regard, and their research interests are met within that proposal. That is it. And the roles that everyone will play should be stated within the proposal too as well. So the funding starts from 5,000 to 20,000. The funds are a lot. I think we have about 700,000 there for RF alone. And there's a lot of money there. And the amount hasn't been increased because the patronage is low. Obviously, if you are able to defend a particular proposal and we see that this work even demands more than 20,000, we can speak with management, and then Prof is also here. We can speak with management and find out through your justification whether it can be done. But where we have cases where the applications are not even coming in, it becomes difficult to even go to go above the 20,000. Now, these dates, after this particular webinar, we will change them because there have been a lot of concerns that this webinar is now being done, and 8th was the closing date. So I think maybe a week or 2 weeks will extend it. So even from today up to next week or in 2 weeks' time, we'll extend it so that we'll get enough applications as much as we can so that we can do research which involves grants. Because if you're able to attract grants, it goes good for your reputation and then for your CV too as well. It's important. So, and obviously you will need some funding to be able to carry out the research well, to be able to get certain things that you are supposed to do well. So let's take note of all that. Now, going to the form, this is how it looks like. The title of the proposal, it should be in line with the scope of the call. So we've seen the scope down there in the advert. So the title should all be in line with this. Then you have the side where the authors are listed. So who's the first author? Who is the second author? All authors or investigators of the proposal, they have to be listed as well. And then we have the aspect where you show us the affiliation of what authors. So if you have authors or investigators who are outside the university, the affiliation should be here clearly stated. And then you have the superscripts numbers, which are showing that this author is coming from affiliation 1. This author is coming from affiliation 2, from a particular department, civil, SLT. These, they are just there for you to edit. You edit, you just delete, and then you put your affiliation there. First author, if you put your name there, and so on and so forth. We also have the issue about formatting too. So we want 4 to 5 pages, Times New Roman. In fact, if you just type within, all of these fonts have been done within the font. So you just have to type within it, and you get the 1.15 line space in the Times New Roman and the justification, all of that. So it's a matter of formatting it into 4, maximum of 5. We don't want more than 5 pages for the concept notes. And the other aspects of the form is the objectives of your proposal. Every proposal has to go with certain objectives. What is your target? What do you intend to do? It has to be stated clearly. What do you intend to investigate? What do you intend to experiment? What do you intend to analyze? And what do you intend to propose or develop? All of those things have to be stated clearly. And your objectives should be in line with your expected results. So if you have an objective of maybe developing some, experimenting a certain situation, then it means that the expected results that you will list should be in line with those objectives. That is how relevant your work will be in terms of the proposal. Now, what are the problems to be resolved? That is also another important thing. And then where the first one is, how relevant is your proposal to the needs and constraints of the target country or region? We are in Ghana. I would presume that what you are applying for is related to Ghana, and what you are applying for can solve a problem in Ghana, maybe in a specific region in Ghana, but it can multiply or it can sustain to other regions also in Ghana. All of these should be stated in terms of the 2.1. Now, the problem that you are solving and how you intend to solve it in terms of the solution that you are bringing on board should be stated for the 2.2. And then the people who are involved in this kind of project that you are doing, let's say you are developing a software. I'm just giving an example. Who is the software for? What are they going to use the software for? And so on and so forth. You are developing something involving mushrooms. Who is going to benefit from those mushrooms? Who is actually involved in it? Who are the target groups? It has to be stated clearly. And then the results that we are expecting as a result of your objectives should be stated and all that. Now, the added value side, the 2.5, is looking at how your proposal, which is obviously going to be a project that you are going to work on, is going to bring some sort of value to Ghana as a whole, the government, the region, and so on and so forth. All of these things should be stated. That is why that 1.2 is there. So you have expected results, but your results, are they going to bring out a value to maybe the government? Is it going to bring a value to maybe certain people and so on and so forth? All of those things have to be stated clearly. That is the relevance aspect. Then we have the methodology. So the main project activities, and these project activities have to be strictly in line with your budget when you are filling the full proposal. It has to be in line. And then, do you have any partners? We really encourage academic and industrial partnership. So if you have any partners, you mention it. Your relationship with them, how experienced they are, certain projects that maybe you have done with them before, certain projects that maybe they have done which are good enough that you can, adapt and then adopt and then work with them and so on and so forth. All of these are important. And then the 3.3, the sustainability. The project shouldn't be a one-off project. That when you do it, it works for a while and then it stops. No, it should be a project which can last for some time, which, once you do it, it can be recognized even in 10 years' time, in 5 years' time, and so on and so forth. So the issue about sustainability is it shouldn't be a one-off. And then will it have multiplier effects? The multiplier effects means that if you do the project maybe in Accra, can this same project work in Kumasi? Can this same project work in Cape Coast? Can it work in Takoradi? Or is it strictly for only Accra? Can it work for other areas within the country? Can you improve it in a way so that it has that form of sustainability? So the multiplier effects and the sustainability, they go hand in hand. They work together. And then the 4.1 is the experience of the organization, the team members that are working on this. The team members in ATU, who is the PI? Who are the investigators? Who are the other investigators on the outside? What is their experience? And so on and so forth. Then when you come to 4.2, is the experience of who you are partnering with in terms of the issues to be addressed, who you are partnering with to do the work, and probably who you are partnering with to also execute that particular solution in terms of the project that you have brought. All of those things are part of it. So that ends it for this particular concept notes. Once you're able to get that to us, maybe in a week or two, we'll review it. Once we review, then we'll be able to come back to you to let you know what it is. Barry White, can a part-time lecturer be a principal investigator? My brother, unfortunately, no. We need a full-time lecturer to be a principal investigator. So if you want to do it, what you have to do is to contact someone in full-time, and then you can submit the project. It is like that for now, but I don't know whether in the future it will change. If it changes, obviously we'll let you know about that change. Thank you very much. Okay, so in conclusion, Prof will come after my conclusion and then brief you on the full proposal, especially in terms of the budget. So the webinar has provided a brief overview of quality publication outlets and guide to ARIF concept notes. As stated earlier, publications in quality journals is extremely vital for research and in terms of visibility and impact, and then towards the reputation of staff and ATU as a whole. We have to use this as a guide all the time. And then if we want to fulfill the vision, mission, the research philosophy towards applied research, then academic staff members are strongly encouraged to publish their work in quality publication outlets and also apply for ARIF to support research funding in their research. It is also, or funding in their research is also very, very important. So colleagues, thank you very, very much for giving me audience and then listening to me. If you have any further questions, my office is always open. Many of you also have my phone numbers. You can always contact me, and then we can always have a chat about what has been discussed today. But I'll send the baton to Prof now. I'll stop sharing my screen and then send the baton to Prof to also go through the full proposal for ARIF. Prof, you're on board.
Thank you. Good morning, colleagues. And we are 64 now, so thank you very much for joining this seminar. Director of RATES, we are very grateful for this insightful presentation. I think it will help all of us. And I'm sure we shall be meeting more often on this note. I will take us through the full proposal, even though we are at the stage of writing the concept note for now. But the full proposal will follow immediately. Having some internet challenges, but I hope I'll be able to go through safely with you. The proposal, this is the proposal format open to us. In the beginning, you just need to put in some few information. As it says, we shall open it up for maybe another 2 weeks because now that we agree on the good basis, we can play the game. However, when you open, these are some few careful things you must read, that the main applicant or principal investigator must be a full-time and active staff. The reason being that that person can be held accountable should there be some challenges regarding the finances of the project or whatsoever. So that person should be ideally a full-time staff. Because if you are not a full-time staff, we cannot chase you if the money is misused or maybe there is any challenge. However, you can team up with people who are not full-time, preferably maybe part-time lecturers, even to the extent of using some of your students if you deem them fit for the work you want to do. So applicant must have no research ethics disciplinary record. So if you have any of such record, it will be difficult to award the grant. The projects must be within the priority areas of focus for 2021. For now, we have really opened it. We have opened it so widely that almost all areas of concern in the university, I mean the 5 faculties, you can easily apply with any ideas and any concept. And this is something we got from the Vice Chancellor, that we want people to apply. So let's don't limit them. Let's open it. That is his desire to get a lot of people to apply. So he's open to anyone who wants to put in his application. The research, however, has to be original and innovative. It's very important. The researcher should be eligible to submit at least only one application at a time, because we have people submitting more than one application, and it becomes very difficult to deal with it. Because we are treading cautiously. We are babies, so we don't have any assurance yet. So we want to try one at a time. Then you can pick another one at another time. Applicants should have relevant qualification and competence. I think that one is not a problem. All members of the research team must sign the research proposal. Remember that is very important. At the end, there is a format provided for you to do that. So the tables that are provided also, you could delete and add rows as and when the need arises. So applications should, however, be submitted in soft copy to RIP at atu.edu.dh. The first page of the application must bring in some very clear information. Sometimes when the applications are many, the reason why this first summary page, it may look like a redundant something for you, it has an importance. When the applications are very many, you might not be able to read sometimes the details of all of them before you shortlist and make some conclusion. However, if it happened that there are really many, the title, this first page, providing the title, the thematic area, and then the budget can be used sometimes to do a first, filtering before even you go deep into those you filtered. So we must be careful how we bring out the title of our research. We should not use more than 16 words. It should be really concise and precise and clear. And then it should paint the innovation that you intend actually carrying out. Then you have to precise the thematic area. This is as per the call, but as I told you, the current call, we have been really vague, so we open it up to all faculties and departments. So you should be able to precise exactly the area in which the proposal is contributing. Remember, the thematic area is not your department by all means. You may be in SLT department, but we are not expecting that you write thematic area SLT here or electrical here, no. But the proposal you are bringing, what is it going to do and what area does it contribute to? So you should be able to depict that clearly. And also, when you have finished all your budget, what is the estimated budget cost? You should be able to also bring the estimated budget cost and then the period. The budget cost, as it says, the minimum allowed is 5,000 and the maximum is 20,000. But should you have an exceptional case, we recommended that you could partner with industry or any other form of other sponsorship that may top it up. But if it has to also come slightly above the 20,000 threshold from the university, it has to be considered, especially on the table of the Vice Chancellor. We can make recommendations if you think this is very relevant. But I'd also suggest that we should try as much as possible to stay within the limit of 20,000. Then the estimated period of time too. If you have also read carefully the proposal, it is stated that you should be able to deliver the project between 6 months and 12 months. And this is very conditional for us. If you deliver beyond that time, it can be considered a failure in implementation. And this is not a problem. This is a challenge for future projects. We should be able to deliver a project within the time frame that is allotted. So as you are deciding on the project, its objectives, activities, and whatever has to be carried, you need to keep in mind the period. So if you over-exaggerate and you may not be able to meet the time period, it is better you reduce your objectives and then you do something that can be done within the time frame allotted. Then the abstract, as we know, we have to bring the abstract. We need to sometimes, as I say, decisions are made easily from the first few elements like the abstract. So the abstract should really depict what the proposal is all about. We should see clearly the objectives, the intended outcome of the project, the impact it will have on society or whatever people, so that it paints the importance of the proposal as a whole. Then come the next session, which is the background of the research. Again, in the background presentation, this is very, very, very important aspect. When surely you pass the first stage and they are looking into your proposal, you need to write a concise background. From few things we have seen before, you shouldn't go too far. It is a background that defines the problem. So I don't know, but I will take a look at this. Just have a look at this text with me. This is a concept proposal for a pilot project to integrate Mooc into technical university. And here Mooc stands for Massive Online Open Courses. Let's read whether these sound good to us. I just want to read maybe the second and the third paragraph. I think the first paragraph paints the fact that there are increase in enrollment. And it says that despite this increase in enrollment, the DTEC or the NCT estimate that Ghana gross enrollment ratio at the tertiary level is about 12%. However, the percentage of students in engineering program is very small and is woefully inadequate to meet current and future needs of the Ghanaian economy. This is also true for computer and information technology program. There are several reasons for these low numbers in engineering and ITs. Some of them include lack of skills due to location, financing, inadequate national planning, and the lack of adequate educational infrastructures and qualified faculty, resources. The rapid rise in DER to 12% is inevitably resulting in low quality of preparation of students, which has become a national concern. This is even more so for the few engineering and information technology graduates. Many of these graduates lack, the practical engineering or IT skill that are either unemployed or work in the non-engineering and non-IT fields. This is just a paragraph, but I can tell you, no one will read this and will not pinpoint quite a number of elements of problem. So as you are depicting the background, it's tied directly to the problem so that people see the challenges in the area that the proposal is coming now to resolve. Because sometimes you read the background for a proposal and it sounds like a background for a book or a thesis, where the person starts describing some theories and hardly you can relate those theories to what the proposal is about to do. So this is background to the problem. It has to give genesis on a certain problem, how the problem evolves over time, what were the approaches to solving it, and where it has reached now, what is left to be done. So please, let's be careful as we are defining the background. And moreover, it is in the proposal writing, the person is only looking for what is important. So sometimes when it's too voluminous, you may lose the real track, you may lose the significance of the whole thing. So sometimes within a page or a maximum two, it's okay. But if you have sometimes people lifting theories from book of more than 5-10 pages on background, and yet they are not really linked to what is going to be done, that becomes a bit of a problem. So immediately you define that. The next thing that is very important to define is the objective and the expected outcomes. They go hand in hand. We say here, and you have seen this all over, that the objective should be SMART. That is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. All these aspects are very important. Specific, so that clearly we can know the expected outcome. Measurable, so that it's something we can achieve. And then it should be achievable, it should be relevant, and time-bound. The time-bound aspect of it is key. Because if it's not, you can easily exceed the 1 year with good justification, and that becomes a bit of a problem. So we should be able to state not less than 2 or 3 objectives, a maximum of 4. And for each of them, bring out the expected outcome directly. So that when we read this document, we see this is what the person intends to do, and this is the expected outcome. The document I was presenting, I can't, but I just want to see the objective aspect of it, if I have it here. Well, so this project objective.
Go up, you see it.
Yeah, I think I'm there now.
Okay.
Yeah, project objective. So there is a statement of objective of this proposal are to implement a blended face-to-face and Mooc approach to improve access and quality of engineering and IT education in Ghana. And these are some few specific objectives: to establish both online and physical infrastructure in collaboration with a partner institution, to select and review appropriate courses and MOOCs in MOOCs organizations such as EDX, Coursera, Udemy, and then the rest follow. 3, to expand the current level of academy, to establish, I think all these words, the objective always starting with keyword that define the actions that we are going to do. And we are there. I have no doubt that we should be able to define our objectives. Let's look at, however, this part of the proposal that becomes a bit of a problem most of the time. Key deliverable and success indicators. We seem to undermine this side, however, is very important. The most difficult task after you agree that this is my proposal, this is what I intend to do, is to achieve this table of key deliverable and activities. We put it in the form of table, but in reality, it can make you write a lot. And some people call it list of activities. If theoretically you want to get somebody's fund, somebody to finance your project, you should be able to tell the person in subsections the activities you carry one after the other, and then they will sum up entirely to solve the problem. And that is key, because if you don't state the activity clearly, you cannot even know exactly what you will do yourself and what the person will do. So I want to see whether I will meet maybe well, this was a concept. Let me in a few minutes I'll give you another one, then I'll show you the activities. But for now, just give me a minute. These were part of the problem I was facing in the internet here. I have it here, but downloading it is the internet is just not working for now. I have an example. I will finish the presentation and I will come back and I'll show some example. But all that we are trying to say in this table is that the deliverable are the results for subsections. For instance, if you read the previous proposal I was reading, at a point you say you want to implement some online infrastructures. So if you want to implement an online infrastructure, what do you expect? Maybe the deliverable should be that maybe an LMS is built in the end. Then what are the activities that will lead to building that LMS? Probably you have to consult the expert in that area. They may tell you you need to acquire maybe a set of computers, you need to have a database, then you need to have a number of accessories, then you need to have programmers or people who will develop the system for you. So those become selected and different activities. Those become selected and different activities that will actually lead to implementing the first deliverable. And then again, the success indicator comes. We were of the view we could simplify this by looking at because well, success indicator is really the specific element that indicate that the result or the deliverable one is achieved. But if this worry you, you can limit it to the deliverable and the activities. So that's one aspect of his work. Another aspect, for instance, he was intent to develop curriculum. So maybe when it comes to the curriculum aspect, the activities are looking at how to organize some workshops on the first, the syllabus development, and another workshop to train people on how to develop content for specific, selected courses. Another aspect to review what has been done. And those three activities can make a deliverable 2. And then again, deliverable 3 and deliverable 4 until the last deliverable that conclude the project in its totality. I will take some time when we are in the question session to see whether I can download the model that is I was talking about, so that I'll show it more. The essence of doing the activity list is because it helps you to do the time frame, and this is something you need to do. You need to present which activity will be carried within which time frame until the full totality of the project. And this also helps in giving you the fund in sections, because you will not be giving all the fund at a go, but you may be giving, and after a quarter, you may have to submit, a temporary report for people to see that some of the activity you intended doing have been achieved before money is given to you to continue with the next activities and on until the end. So if you don't section your work in clear activities, then it's difficult for you to produce a report at a time, and even difficult for the board to know whether your project is progressing as expected, because we can't tell what activity you're supposed to achieve at a certain time. So this is the most important thing. Then in methodology, of course, we need to describe the design and the method to be used. And that is where you understand the need of technical people. Don't come and say you want to build a learning management systems when you yourself, you don't have expertise and you don't have an expert that can write exactly the technicality of what it takes to build an LMS. Don't say you want to maybe build an innovative solution, maybe water sprinkling robots, and yet you don't have any background on robot design, and you don't know how that is done, because we need a proper write-up explaining how you construct that robot. What are the parts you buy? How will you assemble them? What will you program? In what environment? And blah, blah, blah. That demand now theoretical knowledge. And that is where you see that you need the experts. So the method used must be described. And I still say that it is very interesting when we go through an example. So resolve uptakes and then sustainability. You need to explain the approach envisaged to facilitate the application and use of project results to make a change. So basically, when you have done the table of deliverables and activities, you already have your results. The deliverables are the results. But then the question here is that this paragraph points basically to the sustainability. We explained the other time that no one wants to put his money into a project for which the thing is done one time and it doesn't have a continuity. But people want to put their money in something that is lasting, that will have a lasting effect, that can be perpetuated, that can be replicated under many circumstances. Then here you are only bringing the deliverable you have put there and explaining in general or globally how those can lead to something that is repeatable and then sustainable in the future. Then comes in the most interesting part for all of us, budget. There is more to the budget, but there is this little one will be helpful for us to submit our project. This little one is very good for us. We have adopted the World Bank format, and this World Bank format for budget is the same adopted by the Scale Development Fund and other fund providers. So when we adapt ourselves to a budget like a format of this nature, I think we will not have problems submitting grant beyond the RF. Now, what it does is that you see that in the first column is just the items list, and the second column is the activity descriptions. And this activity description is the same table we did earlier when we were talking of deliverables and activities. So you lift it there, and then you come and put it exactly in the table in a summarized form. Meanwhile, in the earlier stage, you may describe them a lot, but here you don't need description. You are only bringing their subtitles. So we have the deliverables and the activities that goes with all of them. And on the right-hand side, we have now some few elements to budget for. That is the number of persons that is doing the work, the number of days or hours that it will take, and then the number of persons that will do the work. Then it will definitely lead you to a total amount. And knowing the total amount, you always have to critically per amount, and this is not in general per amount, determine which part of the grant is coming from the grant provider and which of them is coming from you as the person who is applying. Let me put it clear here that for RF grant, almost everything will come from the grant provider because it's a seed money to train ourselves. But it doesn't matter that we keep the format like this. When you're applying, for instance, to an organization outside the boundaries of this university, the grant provider may be SDF. And for instance, SDF says their money goes only into equipment. So if you are doing in activity one, for instance, curriculum development or learning management system development, things of this nature can only be borne by the university itself. So the cost goes to the university, or in some cases, they are shared percentage by percentage. That is the grant required and the applicant's contribution. For now, for everything you do, put it on the side of the grant required and let the sum not exceed the 20,000. So if you take activity one, if you are doing a data collection in a field and you need to do an experiment in a laboratory, at a point, please put an activity where you are acquiring the equipment and list the items you are going to purchase. Please put the value, the cost, and then get the total, and tell also the time that it will take you to buy that. At a point, if the experiment demand that you repeat a certain things a number of times or you collect data a number of times, for that data collection, do you need special instrument that you are going to borrow, or do you have them? Do you need to travel sometimes that you may have to find yourself in the field? You must cost those trips and then indicate the number of time you are going to do those trips, indicate the items you are going to use to collect the data. If you are borrowing some few equipment that are very indispensable for that data collection, you need to mention them as well and indicate the cost for each of them. However, so some of these costs demand that the proposal is followed immediately with a list of invoices, because those who are now ascertaining the cost at the back end do not have privilege to know that equipment and they don't know how much it costs. So some invoices can help. So this is what you go through. Then you put all deliverable and activity, you establish the cost. So if you think that at a point you are developing something or during the experiment, you need people, you have to invite them, you must pay them on a daily basis. Then you have the items here. How many days will they spend? How many are they? And then with justification, how many persons? Then the cost come total, the unit cost, and then the total cost, and who is actually paid. When you do this up to the end, Then you sum up everything. You have subtotal per sections, but we have a grand total that sum up everything, and then also shows the contribution from the grant provider and the contribution from you as the applicant. So basically, this information is what gives you the cost that you are putting on the first page. I go down further to look at the activities and work plan. This is very important. The same list of activity, you see, is repeating. Is needed for the budget, and then is needed here again to show the time frame. If you say you stay within 6 to 12 months, now indicate each of the activities, the time period that they will occupy. This helps in monitoring. This helps essentially in monitoring. Activity 1, maybe 3 months. Activity 2, maybe the next 3 months. So you need to use colors and other things. And as you used to do, you pen the table, then we can monitor when you are submitting quarterly report that yes, you are following the plan that you indicated. In the end of it all, you need to sign the proposal, as I said earlier, from the principal investigators to all the team members. So this ends actually the submission of the grant. The rest of the items are just the list of references, of course. And then the appendices that are very important. You must add here, if not a full CV, but a brief profile of each of the investigators. You must also add invoices for items you want to purchase. And then there's some few other elements to, if you have MOUs or collaboration that supports at a point in time your problems or any point you have made, you add them as appendices and then you submit. So thank you very much. I have loved to share some other presentation, but I think I'm challenged with downloading for now. So I will limit it here. Time is fast spent. Thank you. We can take some few questions. And once we are taking the question, I will come back if possible with some few items.
Prof, I think there are some questions in the chat.
Okay, I think we have a problem with the sustainability and multiply effect. I think this was explained. The sustainability, I think, is explained is to make the problem sustainable. The multiply effect is very similar. Is it that is a project when you do, it can only be done at ATU? Or is something that can be replicated in another university or even in another country or in another setup? That is the multiply effect. So that aspect has to do with the sustainability at the same time. The project is not only sustainable, but it can be replicated and repeated in other conditions. So it's not limited by just conditions under which is being applied here. That's a multiply effect. Because there are things, if you are not careful and they are limited to your conditions, it means that it can be done only once. And it doesn't, that multiply effect is defeated. It's defeated in that sense. It is not sustainable in the end. So that's the idea behind sustainability and multiply effect. They go hand in hand. So I don't think there is a challenge there. Yes, the recording will be made available. And I don't think.
There's a question on, could you please cite one specific example of a deliverable?
Can we just give me one
an example?
I did, but there is a bigger one that just 1 minute. I'll show it right now. Can we take up the next question? I'll show one example right now.
Gideon Adote, the budget template from SDF is meant for paying allowance for trainers, but the situation here is different.
It is adaptable. It's not just for training allowance, but it is something that is you can adapt to our situation. In fact, most of the activity we do here involve one or the other aspect where we need people to do data collection. Or if you are performing data collection, you are performing experiment, or you are using instruments to do something on daily basis. This budget is highly applicable. The only aspect probably that is not properly covered there is when you are buying equipment. But what we suggest is that you put that as one item, purchase of equipment, and all the items that are irrelevant to you, you make them 111. You make the cost of it. And on the other side, you show the bill of quantity of the items you are purchasing, which will not be directly in the budget. Because when we also mix all those things in the budget at the go, it makes the budget look not pleasant at all. So you need to have the bills separately, and then you put it as one item in the overall budget. So it is adaptable. It can be used.
All right, bro. I think Jacob Ayambila is asking, do you state the same activities under the deliverables in the time plan section? Yes.
Absolutely, because
the same activity.
It has to be exactly the same. If it's not the same, then there is problem, because so the first aspect is to justify the activities. But when they are justified, is this same activity you are now costing in the second aspect. I want to show you some deliverable. I think I should be able to get one, because the Prof, the file we work on the activity, can you download it? The Excel file.
The Excel file. Okay, let me check.
The one on the activities and the cost, because I'm unable to download it. So that you can share the screen for me to go by.
Okay.
Okay, this is another example. Is my screen shared? Sorry.
No, it's not shared.
It's not shared.
No.
Just a minute. Let me share it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is another project. Once you're expecting Prof to open that, look at this, for instance. This is the project I was showing earlier in the bit developed format. Field of study engineering, subfield engineering technology, area of expertise, curriculum development and realignment, and blah, blah, blah. Those were per the call. Project activities. Number one, development of the Technical University Resource Network. This is an online infrastructure that is going to be built. And this will serve as a common platform to share academic resources and blah, blah, blah. So it's an online platform which is built on a strong databases that can now act like it can provide access to resources, and resources are not just limited to libraries and books. Then also the activity 2 is to select appropriate content for the 10, which is the technical university resource. And this also requires significant experience with some seasoned faculty and others. Also, we say we're proposing to start. There will be a piloting time. So we pilot something with some few courses. So that again is an activity. And then also we say the fellow will conduct training and workshops. So that's again another set of activities. So when you go there, how many training, how many workshops, and how will they be costed? And then the fellow will work to establish a network of engineering educators in the diaspora to support and promote the use of Moocs. So these are ideas of activities. Now, when you read project impact, you will see some of the deliverable there, but because of times, I'll wait on Prof if you can show that Excel file so that we can show some few examples.
Okay.
That I'm We're almost done. 2 minutes.
Oh, I'm coming on.
Maybe to simplify matter, we can share it among the files we are sending.
Because
so we could see how the activities were extracted from the.
No, I've got it all. Is it this?
Okay, so you have to. You have to. You have to make it visible. My screen is still shared. You have to share your screen.
Okay, so stop yours.
Okay. Stop now.
Do you see mine? Prof, do you see
yes,
mine?
I can see it now.
Okay.
I think this, for instance, the term result here is equivalent to deliverable in the program we are having. So maybe the first deliverable here is to develop a CBT curriculum in so and so. So it involves a lot of activities. So well, I think this is not the revised one that we can manage with this. The first activity is a workshop on standard development, and probably it was a draft, so there are more activities that are not here. But if you take the result 2 or deliverable 2, which is to develop the online system, for instance, then again, it's just a unique activity for this one too. If you take the third one, which is the provision and installation of PLC equipment, it has got 3 activities. Provision, which has to do a lot of procurement work that we shouldn't underrate or undermine. Then we have the installation, because the procurement can take a long time. If you don't know, it has to do with the costing. And you cannot buy directly. Sometimes if it's too expensive, you have to buy through the right procurement systems. And that can take 3-4 months sometimes. So you need to know that and quantify it in terms of time. Then the installation. Then you bring equipment. Do they need special installation? What time will it take? Do you need experts to do that installation? Will they be paid? All those are critical aspects we seem to underrate, so let's consider them. Then are there accessories that you add to the equipment? Yes, in this case, you list them. Activity 4, for instance, develop learning material assessment and marking guideline document. That again involves learning material development, which takes a long time period, for which individual must be invited to develop, so that will take some time. Development of assessment material is similar, uploading of content is similar. And even don't underrate activities like even if you have to print documents, sometimes printing can be dedicated a whole time, a week, when it's color and spatial printing. Is there that you run a pilot training in whatever you are doing, or are you running a test for whatever design or innovation you have come out with? Are there certification? All these are ideas you can categorize and are various deliverable and explain and defend them. But I was saying, I think this is a draft version. There is a revised version, which is more comprehensive. We'll share at the end of this seminar. I think this will be okay for now. I don't know if there are some more ideas we want us to discuss.
Oh no, Prof, I'm okay. I think are there any other questions? Let me check.
And do you state the same activities under the deliverable in time plan section? We talk about that. How do you compare our template with one used by other universities? We can still do some comparison, but we draw, like I say, this is a template that we drew from renowned, if I may say, grant providers. But however, we are open to suggestions if you think that there are aspects of it we should still improve. Please suggest to us. We are open to that, and we can do that. I thought multiply effect had to do with the impact on the project, on society, individual, or anything. Well, I think we gave an explanation, and it is related to sustainability, replicability, and then repeatability. And I think directly or indirectly, this involves society, individual, and anything as well. Do not waste too much time on some of these things that are just a minor aspect. All that we need is to have a comprehensive write-up on the sustainability aspect, and something that is, like I say, replicable, repeatable, and sustainable with time. And then why did we decide to adopt SDF format? Gideon, make suggestions so we can incorporate them wherever you think they are necessary. Thank you very much. Director, I'm done.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof. I believe we've been able to answer most of the questions, but our offices are open to all of you in case something is back in your mind that you want us to solve. It shouldn't be a problem. You can come and then we'll look at it. We'll be looking forward to your concept notes. Prof, I think 2 weeks should be okay. Oh.
I think we should give 2 weeks to ourselves. And what we want to encourage is that lecturers having students can be very helpful to you. Use your project student for which you have given a clear project and transform their proposal into something you can submit here. And you can be the lead author and still use the student and other lecturers or industry players to support you. I think it's easier moving from something already done by the student. So I want to suggest strongly that At this stage, we know the proposal already. Pick some of them, modify and submit within 2 weeks.
Okay. All right. Prof, we have to close. So I want to use this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for attending this webinar. Without you, we couldn't have given our presentations and we couldn't have spoken. It's not the end of it. I'm available, Prof is available. In case of any situation, as I said, you can easily approach us and I will gladly attend to you. We have to close this webinar with a prayer. We started with a prayer, we'll close with a prayer. So Barry White, I don't know whether you are there. I think he's got up.
His microphone on.
Barry White. What about Dr. Glenn?
All right, shall we pray? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Our Heavenly Father, once again, we thank you for this moment. It's been a very lively moment, a moment of enlightenment. We pray for your grace to enable all that we've been taught this morning through to this afternoon to become very useful to us and our students and to the help of the development of this very great nation, Ghana and our institution. We thank you, Lord, and bless you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.